It feels so good out here. I could stay out here all day. Let's check it out behind me. It's beautiful. And right now I'm in the shade, hanging out underneath some river birch trees, which the river birch are appropriately named because they live to hang out in the river. Like they are okay growing directly in the muddy parts of the water. So I don't know if you could see this over here. That tree. It looks dry from where we are now, but it's actually where its roots are down are probably is probably like full of clay, flooded, but it loves it. That's how it thrives. And so these trees, they produce some very thick foliage, you know? Foliage. That's just the leaves, a fancy way of saying leaves. And that's what makes it feel so cool. So, actually, let me take that back. That's what shields the sun and gives you this dappled sunlight. So, you see the sunlight down here. It's not so um, overpowering and hot. Um, but the reason why it feels so cool is because the leaves, they actually produce moisture and they keep the moisture trapped underneath the trees, underneath the canopy. And so if you've ever noticed, whenever you walk underneath a tree, it's like the temperature is significantly different. It's significantly cooler. And that's because there's moisture underneath those leaves, you know, coupled with the fact that the leaves are also acting as a barrier to the sun rays. Um, they're just sort of shielding you from that UV light. And so those two acting together creates a synergistic feeling of coolness. And yeah, I think that it actually does produce a feeling of tranquility. I really appreciate it. At least every time I walk under a tree, I'm just like, yes, yes. It feels really good. And then you see every time I walk out into the sun, my forehead starts shining. That's cool though. I think everybody is looking at me like I'm weird or whatever because I'm probably the only person out here in what looks like normal clothing, you know, rocking my Africa. Yes, Mother Africa. Africa. Y'all, nature is so stunning. I've been driving for Uber and Lyft for the last 2 weeks. And, gosh, hold on. Let me just show you this. Look at that. It's like they're high-fiving. You see? I could put myself right there in the middle. Woo! High five. All right, that's me being a dork a little bit. But I have more to talk about with when it comes to trees. Um, so I've been driving, picking people up, and getting them to their destination safely. I'm proud to say that I've been doing a very good job at that, very great job. And in the meantime, I'm also able to just observe the different places that I'm driving to and from, you know. So yesterday, I actually I pulled up into some kind of commercial plaza, where there were a bunch of oak trees. There were two kinds of oaks. I believe there was a pin oak, or no, a white oak and a willow oak. And they had an alley of the white oak trees. And they were so, just structurally, they were so beautiful. They have these sculptural forms. Like every limb is like an arm stretching out to the sun. And off of each branch grows a bunch of little tiny beautiful leaves that give us this beautiful shade that we're always looking for. Feeling good, feeling great. But I was just stunned, you know? I mean, my passenger was not in the car yet. I was looking for him. And we were trying to find each other actually. But in that meantime, as I drove through, I just had to, go slow. I had to drive slow because I was like, yo, these trees. Oh, I should have taken a picture. But I don't use my phone while I'm driving. So that's the reason why I didn't get it for you. Perhaps maybe if I find some time during daylight hours this weekend, I'll go back and get a picture. But I don't think that anything will compare to seeing it in person. They were stunning. And that's the thing that I want to bring to you all and just share is, take the time to appreciate nature. Things are happening all around you and they can teach you a lot about yourself. I've taken the time to begin to nurture my plants, put them outside, and allowed them to absorb some of the natural moisture in the air, some of the humidity, some sunlight, all those things. And also, they clean the air. So, that toxic air that we have, carbon dioxide, they take that and they clean it up for us and then they give us oxygen. So it's a synergistic relationship, symbiotic. But what I've noticed overall is that by putting all of these plants outside, I've now attracted wildlife to my home. And I mean everything from ants to birds and bees and lizards. I get some of everything now. So we have these dragonflies that hang around. We have mosquitoes. We do. So I try not to have any water standing around, but after it rains is when it's the worst. But then we have the dragonflies that come around and they munch. And we're good. There's dog dung everywhere. What else do we have? We have, there's a wasp, a mother wasp, who I actually haven't seen her for a while, but, a couple months ago, she began making her nest right next to my screen door. And, I for a moment, I was like, okay, this is going to seem a little weird, but I don't think we should mess with it. I think we'll leave it alone. Let this wasp do her thing because I recognize that nature has to reproduce itself, and of course, I'm a lot more aware now of the state of emergency that exists for bees in general. I know she's not a honeybee, but an insect of that sort nonetheless, and a pollinator. So, and it was just one, Of course, she's going to recreate herself, but they literally have they're not born to attack humans. That's not their purpose. So I had the intuition to know that when those young offspring hatch, they're probably going to go where their instinct tells them to go, which is typically not indoors because there's nothing for them in there. There's no food for them. There's nothing for them. So I wasn't afraid. We had carpenter bees that got into the wood railing of the deck. Don't tell the landlord. I could hear them. They would work all night, building their nest, building their hive, and probably creating honey. We didn't take it apart to see if we could get any, because again, that's their business. It's what they feed off of. There's their food for the winter, so, let them have it. We have 2 lizards that come by. There's a dark bluish, purplish colored lizard. That's adorable. Sometimes it likes to hang out on the deck. Sometimes it likes to hang out around the front. I often see it running across the sidewalk when I'm leaving. And then there's a green lizard. The green lizard, that one definitely just likes to hang out on the deck and try to blend in with the leaves of the other plants, like it seems to really like my lily plants and the succulents that are next to the edge. And my best guess is because those areas seem to attract smaller insects a lot. We have spiders that have set up their homes. They use the leaves as a trap. And so they string their web from leaf to leaf, and then they connect back to the railing of the deck, and they'll get in like every corner. And so that's what I'm noticing, is just like the spiders like the corners, so does the green lizard. So they'll hang out close to the corners and the edges, just eating the tiny bugs that we don't want coming inside. And so that's really cool. The spiders, they get all the flying stuff that we don't want to come inside. So, our issues with bugs has been minimal. My favorite is a mama bird. I don't even know what kind of bird this is. I'm not really big into bird watching or anything, but she is a tiny bird. She's probably about this big, literally, like 2.5 inches tall. She makes this cute little sound, just beep, 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 beep. And I first noticed her one morning when I was headed to work. I opened up the door, and actually, let me tell you how it started. So I have these ivy plants that I got from a nice lady that I used to work with. She said she had so many of them that she was just willing to give them away. So she gave them away to me, or 2 of them. And, when they got warm enough, then I put them in these hanging baskets outside in the front. So since they've been out there, I just watered them. I didn't think, I guess something told me to I was like, okay, well, before I bring these back inside, I probably need to water them with like some boiled tobacco water, just to make sure there's no ants inside of them. or any other kind of bugs. But I did not consider birds at all. So I was leaving for work one morning, and every time I opened up the door, I would see this bird jet out of the planter, out of the hanging basket. It flew off the deck and it soared straight into a bush that was, on the first floor. I'm on the second floor. When I saw that, I was like, whoa, what was that? So I closed the door. I went back in. I think I went to just go tell my partner, hey, when you get ready to leave here, just beware. There is a bird making a home on our porch. And so he was like, okay. We'll see if we see it. So I opened up the door to leave again, and then it flew away again, And so I was like, oh my gosh, like we have now invited a bird to create a home with us. Many weeks go by and I don't see much activity from the bird. Probably until maybe like last week. I did see it fly out of the basket. And then this week, I started hearing one little tiny, they're not chirping. So I don't really know how to characterize it, but it's kind of like a screeching sound, like, but cuter. And like 2 days later, I heard two. So it just tells me that her hatchlings. Oh, and also, we were sitting outside. We were, hanging out outside. Hanging out. And I saw her fly up there. This is when I was still sort of looking for confirmation that there were hatchlings. One of those moments where I thought that I heard something, but I'm not entirely sure because, I can't see up there anyway. I just know it looks messy, so I assume there's a nest. But yeah, we were sitting outside and she flies up, she lands on the deck with something in her mouth, and then she just starts making her sounds like beep, 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 beep. And to me, I was like, okay, I think that's a sign or that's code for, could y'all please go away because I'm trying to feed my offspring. So I told Ron, hey babe, maybe we need to go inside. It seems like maybe she's trying to get up to her nest and she doesn't want us to see where the nest is. Which is cool. So, we went inside and, just ever since then, we just pay attention to what we hear. And so, after that was when I heard two little screeching squealers up there. Tried recording it, but it's so dark that, you really can't see. So I feel like it's like the perfect hiding place for them, which is fine. But yeah, I wanted to share that because it's just beautiful. We've been attracting all this wildlife near us. And I've been paying attention, very close attention to wildlife. I hate that I use that word, wildlife. What does wild even mean? It's just nature. It's just nature. We're all nature. God is nature. So I've just been paying attention to all of the beings of the world.